Welcome in, everybody. This is the Dr. Nick's Amazing Man Stuff YouTube channel, and this show specifically is the Doctor's Orders live stream every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. My name is Dan, and I host this show, which is an absolute honor and something I look forward to. And I have the co-owners of Dr. Nick's Amazing Man Stuff. I have Mr. Nick and Jill. Jill, since this is a rare occurrence here, how are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. I just journeyed around the sun for another turn. Just turned 34.
Oh, snap.
So feeling good. Had a great weekend.
Also known as 30 for the fourth time.
30
She
for the
is now
fourth
30 for the fourth time.
Yes.
I like that.
I'll take it.
Happy belated. My birthday is in about 2 weeks, so
Woo-hoo.
I am just behind you.
You're getting close.
Yep. And I will be 35. So
what day is it in May?
May 11th.
11th. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's my dad's birthday.
Okay, cool. Yep, so that's mine coming up here, but hopefully it was a good birthday weekend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, we went down to the city and we went to go tickle one of Jill's guilty pleasures in Boston, which was...
With the Art of Brick or Casa Romero?
Well, I guess both.
So we got to see an Art of Brick exhibit. A gentleman from LA did a bunch of really cool art pieces out of Lego.
Dude,
really
room-sized T-Rex. And he did like this whole like pink room set up with like a chair and a couch and like a heart-shaped Lego pillow. And you could actually like sit in the chair and like hold the pillow. It had like a Lego guitar on a stand next to it. Like it was freaking cool. 103,000 pieces was in that little room display on that one
display. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But, I mean, it was intense, man. This guy did just like the craziest stuff out of Lego. It was nuts.
Yeah, he did this one dress that like looked like the dress was the wind was blowing up underneath it, but it's all hard plastic brick. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, the motion that he gets in that stuff with like rigid squares is really impressive. It was really neat.
And we washed it all down with some tacos.
That's
My favorite taco place.
Tacos and tequila for the win.
Woo-hoo.
What kind of tacos we talking?
I did the El Pastor tacos, which is
that's
their signature taco from there.
Yeah,
awesome.
Casa Romero is awesome. Everything's homemade. Everything's great. It's like they make their own tortillas. Like they marinate everything there in house. Like it's fantastic.
Wilson was with us as well.
Yep.
He's here in the chat. We dragged him out too, of course. He's my Lego twin.
That's it. Yep. Chris was out there with us.
That's great.
Pairing it up. Jack was there with us.
Ellie's birthday's next Wednesday. Happy birthday, Ellie.
Woo! That's awesome.
We'll have to remember that next Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick, how are you doing today?
Dude, I'm doing good, man. It's a crazy week for me. You know, the wasteland of the internet is doing what it does, which is, just crippling businesses around the world. And I'm just doing my best to wear my network and security engineering cape, running around trying to put out all the fires. It's been an interesting week of ransomware and other stuff in the world. So I've just been chasing all that around. So honestly, it kind of, in my head, it feels like about 25 minutes has passed since 8 a.m. Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
So it's been one of those weeks. And, but I'm excited to have the topic in front of us today. I'm stoked on the things we got planned for next week. I mean, it's a good week. And this is obviously the highlight of it so far. So I'm pumped to be here.
Heck yeah. We got some big stuff planned. Also, speaking of topics, Nick mentioned cybersecurity. If you guys did not catch last week, Nick had a full show giving some amazing advice about cybersecurity for you guys, for consumers, for normal people that browse the internet. And it's some super practical and easy to adjust tips and tricks. So if you're like, ooh, that sounds good, I need to learn more about that, go peek back to last week's after the stream, and I think it'll be really helpful. And a couple of things Nick mentioned. One is Dr. Nick's will be on Command's Corner on Monday night. So 9 p.m. Eastern on Monday night. Make sure you guys tune in and share all that positive feedback that you guys give on a regular basis. And we're going to celebrate a great company and some awesome products, and super excited to get all those details. We'll have this show next week as well, and just a bunch of exciting things coming up. But today, the topic of today's show is called Challenges of Making Beard Products. And essentially the reason why I really wanted to kind of push this topic and idea is I think a lot of people really appreciate beard companies and they really appreciate the products they make. And a lot of people like things like DIY and making their own products, and they like the scents and all the blends. But there's always more to the story than what just meets your eye, that just what's on the surface. And I kind of wanted to talk about the challenges that a company goes through that they don't often get to talk about, that they don't often have a platform to speak on. And for example, for me being a content creator, people reach out to me all the time. They're like, hey, when are you starting your company? When are you starting your company? And I always tell them, there's a whole lot of that side of things that I'm not interested in. There's people that are much better at it than me, and they often don't fully understand what I'm talking about. And so I thought having co-owners of a company to be able to speak about it when people know that it's positive intentions, that it's transparency, that it's sharing this just for the sake of learning and growing. And especially people that watch this channel probably like to learn about products and ingredients and stuff. So that's kind of the idea that we have. But first, quick here, anything new coming out during Commands Corner?
This is going to be the first Commands Corner where I don't think we're actually combining it with a product drop.
Yes, because we're still working, fine tuning all the stimulating.
Which it's been
growth
fine tuned. We've now confirmed that we've landed on our final formula there. We're good to go, and now we're into packaging and labeling, which are some of the things that we're going to talk about today. But nope, no new products next week. It's just going to be some awesome giveaways. It's just an awesome opportunity to sponsor. And get some cool stuff out there, and we got some really cool giveaways.
Yeah, and we're so excited. You guys go wild on Commands Corner. Like the last time, I felt like I had this huge rush afterwards. I couldn't sleep right away. I was damn.
Well, and dude, it'll be really cool in the sense that, to answer your last question, Jason, no, we don't have any new products dropping. But since the last Commands Corner, we do have new products, namely merch. And so what's cool about that is on the giveaways and other stuff that we're putting together, we're going to have whole different packages of stuff that we're going to be able to give away. And we're putting together some really cool stuff that's going to be including some of the things that have released since the last Commands Corner. So that's kind of exciting.
Heck yeah. And G Squared, our man.
What was this?
G Squared.
Just had to share. I've had some crazy dry hands the last couple of weeks. Decided to put Dr. Nick's butter on them and wear gloves overnight. Kind of like the concept of people treating your feet and wearing socks. I get that. And he even had bloody cracks 2 nights, and his cuts are healed.
Wow, dude. It's like I keep threatening the idea of rebranding this and just making it Dr. Nick's Miracle Butter and not even calling it beard butter anymore. And it can be used for beards, because I'd say it's like 20% of the positive feedback we get on our beard butter
is not about your beard.
It's not about beards. Beard butter goes on my 1 year's life for a dry. Yeah, dude, exactly. So like my mom in her 70s, same issue, ex-cancer.
40s.
Oh, right. Sorry. My mom that's in her 40s. Right. She had me when she was about 10. So
Sorry,
that puts her late 40s. But no, I think it's crazy. I mean, we do hear a ton of feedback like that, especially like melanoma sites and other like scar areas and dry patches. Like, it really helps people. And you're right. The aloe is a huge component in that.
It is. I did a fresh tattoo healing with the butter. I wanted to try it fresh, right day after, just pure ripped open exposed skin. I didn't have a single issue. I had a beautiful healing process. It was quick, not as much peeling as I would usually get on a healing process. So
and you didn't need to switch from ointment to lotion because it was kind of all in one. Yeah.
So, well, that's good to know. I am getting
We'll have to send you some extra.
Is he coming up soon?
This weekend.
Dude, use the butter.
Mhm.
Like, because when they're tattooing, they'll use stuff that's like hustle butter. A lot of people use, and they'll rub it on like while they're tattooing. The only difference with our stuff is that it has aloe. It's a little more nourishing, and it doesn't have any wax in it. And so it's actually a better version of what they have as a stabilized product for active tattoo work.
Yep.
And so usually you do the Aquaphor route when you're first healing. And then once you get to the point where it's a little flaky, then you switch to lotion. But with the butter, you can literally go from ground zero all the way through the flaky stage, never changing the product, with a thin film, non-tacky.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. Sam is getting some tattoo covers as well. And so it's gonna be a good weekend. Really, really good
That's
weekend.
awesome, dude. Tattoo
Yep.
party. Drink
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Get hydrated
Yep.
Thursday and Friday, man.
Start drinking more water.
Extra
Yep.
water.
Yep. And Jason said his wife steals the butter for her hands and it works so well. Garrett said that his dog is approved Ghost. And if you guys
Dude, we
saw
saw
Loved
that.
reel.
Cool.
Yeah, we
Loved
saw that reel, Garrett. That's awesome, man. And it's huge because it's completely safe for dogs, especially since the fact when Dan and I looked into the regulatory guidelines for pet products.
Oh my
and,
gosh.
And we learned, we didn't know this. We had like a mind-blowing moment. Like Dan and I were looking this up and we're like, whoa, this can't be right. It was like FINRA. So we're sitting there looking up the regulation and it's like the dog and all animal products from a shampoo perspective were in the same category as dish soap, like Dawn dish soap. It was regulated as a detergent. It was not classified as anything for hair or skin or pores or follicles. And you only had to be as safe as a Dawn degreaser.
Yep. Yeah.
And so we're like,
shocked.
whoa, what can we do with that whole world of products? Like what we're doing with the shower products and the butter and everything else. We're like, all right, that's definitely an avenue we want to explore.
And to that, I will say yes, as long as you make sure it's dry before you apply. You don't want to trap any moisture in that diaper. So you could totally use that as a diaper rash alternative.
Yeah, because it's a water barrier, right? It'll trap water in, or it will keep water out.
Yep, completely clean and dry, and you're good to go. G squared.
Yep, and we used it on our kids when we used beard butter, especially if you can get anything that's soothing for the skin on there. Like I would imagine number 7 would be fantastic as one, but anything with like lavender, number 9 is probably really good.
I was going to say 9 would be a little bit better than 7 if I would.
Yep, be soothing.
Yeah, a little bit more soothing.
Yep, I can see that. I can see that for sure. So awesome, guys. Thank you for the feedback. I am going to ask you guys, Commands Corner, come with your best feedback in mind about this and want it to be genuine, want it to be real, but just have some thoughts in mind for what you would like to share for people that will discover this company for the first time on Monday, because we're probably going to have lots of new people that are in there that have found the channel but haven't really found this company yet. And hearing from people that spend their hard-earned money is something that's really, really valuable. So just keep that in mind if you guys get to tune into Commands Corner on Monday to share that. So
it is. It's like when you go to a wedding, and you have like one side, you have like the one side of friends and family, and you got like the other side of friends and family. You're almost, you've met the other side, you've kind of started making friends, but you kind of want them to like meet all your friends to maybe hear about you from other people, and it literally, that's the way I feel when we do Commands Corner. I feel like everyone in this live stream, when you go on there, it's like you guys are like our close friends. And you're going to tell everyone else all the things we'd like to say about ourselves, but probably don't want to do it from a selfish perspective. So it's like, we're proud to have everyone interact with you guys and hear what you say and get your feedback. Like, this is, it's like the expanded audience meeting our close circle of friends here.
Yeah.
Love that.
Bring your good, bring your bad, bring your ugly.
So true. So awesome, you guys. And hey, we might have some time at the end to have some questions to talk about these products. But I do want to cover this topic today because I think you guys are going to learn a lot of stuff. And if anything, I think it will grow your respect for all beard product companies that are doing it in the right way. Because there's so many aspects. So many of us are used to things like Amazon and these things where it's like, I see something I want, I order it, it gets here, boom, and I'm done thinking about it. But I think having appreciation and understanding is good for everybody involved. So I will kick it over and I'll kind of interject anytime that seems right. But this is going to be kind of the Nick and Jill show here. Nick, take it away here. The challenges of making beard products on the scale of a company.
Right. So crazy cool topic, right? And it's, what's interesting is I was deluded the same way I think a lot of people out there are, in the sense that when I started Dr. Nick's, I started it alongside of my consulting company. It's when I first branched off onto my own away from a big consulting firm. And it was funny because when I started up the consulting business and Dr. Nick's at the exact same time, kind of one was like a passion project and one was, gonna hopefully turn into a good stream of revenue that I could depend on and not have to go work for another big firm again. And what was funny is in my head there, I was sitting there thinking like, okay, if one of these takes off, it's going to feel like a job. It's going to be a lot of work, the consulting side, right? I'm like, but if the beard oil stuff takes off, I'm like, man, how fun is that going to be to just be able to be creative and not really have the administrative weight of a consulting business and employees and all this other stuff. I'm like, man, what a great world this is going to be. And boy, how wrong was I? Because yeah, I was dead wrong. And what I mean by that is it's more of a bit, there's as much on the business side of running a beard products company as there is on the products, right? So if I broke down and made myself a little map here that I may or may not choose to share at some point to illustrate what I'm talking about. But you kind of have like 4 pillars of this business, just like any other, right? I mean, it's really no different. People kind of have this idea out there where they're saying, well, it's not like you're cooking something. It's not like you're manufacturing something from scratch. You're taking existing ingredients, you're blending them and mixing them and bottling them. Like anyone can do that. And sure, right? Anyone can grab some ingredients. They can mix things together and create a carrier they like. They can then create a scent profile they like. But then let's explode that idea for a minute, right? Like, let's say you bought your carrier oils and you bought 16 ounces of each one, right? You bought a little 16-ounce bottle of each carrier and you blended them in and you got something you like. Now, let's say you bought some essential oils or some fragrance oils you like, and you bought them in little 1/2 ounce, 1 ounce containers, and you made a blend that you like. So I'm going to step through this small example, and then we're going to step back and look at the whole picture. So I'm going to go down a little rat hole for a minute, but then we'll come back, I promise. So you take that little process that you just did and you got a bottle and you're like, sweet, this stuff is awesome. I really like it. I want to go and make this at scale. I want to scale up the batches and I want to make more. Okay. So let's think about that for a minute. You bought your ingredients in 16-ounce bottles. Where are you going to buy them in bulk, right? You got to be able to buy them in large enough quantity where it gets your cost on those ingredients down enough to that where when you combine them together, you have something you can sell without losing money. Basic premise of any product business, right? Make something for less than you sell it for, use that profit to pay yourself and fund future products and sustain the business, right? Kind of a pretty basic principle. But you think about that. That's going to come from different suppliers, right? You now have a carrier oil supplier. You could have some available with one bulk supplier and another available with another one. They have minimum order quantities. So all of a sudden you say, oh God, to get this thing down to where I need to be, I actually got to buy 5-gallon pails of each of these carriers in order to get the price down to where I can afford them because the gallon prices aren't low enough.
But then you're also paying for that 5 gallons.
That means you're now paying for the 5 gallons. So
your carrier oil.
So you look at that and all of a sudden you're like, oh boy, I got 5 carrier oils in my blend. 5 gallons of each one's going to run me about 300 to 400 something bucks, maybe 500 something bucks. So now just in carrier oils, you're now sitting on like $2,000 worth of carrier oils just to make enough of your base to be able to sustain what you might want to sell it for, right? And then, of course, comes the next problem. These things all have shelf lives. So you can't do that until you have a market, right? Because you're going to sit on that product. And then, of course, comes the next challenge. How are you going to bottle all that stuff, right? How are you going to buy all the packaging? You're going to buy labels, and you're going to have some different scents. So you need a few different versions of the labels. The prices on the labels are all over $1 per sticker, unless you buy 500 of each one at a time. So now
you're ready to make 500 bottles of that.
Right. So now you got 3 products. You got 1,500 labels you had to buy. You got a couple thousand bottles that you're going to fill. You got, 25 gallons of carrier oil that you're sitting on. And all of a sudden the clock starts ticking from a money that you have out on a credit card perspective and the timeline that you have to sell those products, right? So we just talked about really quickly, without even really knowing it, we talked about what I think I've kind of figured out are the 4 pillars of any business, but I've kind of tailored the names of them to be specific for a beard products company like us. So you have the business side, right? That includes things like people, accounting, facilities, insurance, electricity, those sorts of things. Then you have products, which is you have formulation, you have production, you have inventory, you have packaging. Then you have Sales and marketing, right? Your sales channels, your routes to market, where you sell your products, how you sell your products, how much you price them for, what's your wholesale program look like? Are you offering affiliates? Are you working with affiliates? How else do you market? What are the discounts you give people? What are your outreach? Where's your social media channels, right? And then you have logistics. You have carriers, you have packaging, you have shipping rates. And then you have to deal with delivery issues, timing, tracking, questions, costs, balancing all that into shipping rates, weights, packaging for those, inner packaging for your shipping, your boxes, your envelopes, whatever else, and then your inner packaging like bubble wrap, wrappers, other things you need to keep your products safe while they're in transit. So you have the business, you have sales and marketing, you have products, and you have logistics. And if you really think about it, everything else you do falls into one of those 4 categories. And so you all of a sudden have this really simple idea, just like I had, and just like a lot of people have, right? But then you start to discover why most big beard brands that are out there typically have a couple of things happen, right? They get enough market share on a very small scale that someone wants to dump some money into it, and they're able to start going after ads, and they're able to start ramping up, seed a couple of employees, and then wait until revenue picks up to the point to cover all those new expenses that you've incurred. Or you kind of what they call bootstrap it, right? Which is where you use your own money, and then you use the revenue from what you do to then feed back into the business and grow it, which is what we've done largely. So, and then you look at some companies out there that are bigger than any of the brands that we know and trust, like all the big box brands that are out there that none of us on this live stream would ever consider touching, right? And those are gigantic companies who already had all of these other things in place, and all they had to do was insert a new product into their production process and into their formulation process. And so those are the ones that are immediately, they already have the contracts in place. So they make a new product, it goes into 50,000 stores, and it's a $10 million product line from day one. And then you have the other side where you grow into that, right? So there really is some really interesting things there. And it's and from just like focus on the product for a second. You look at where you're going to be doing a small batch of something, and then you look at scaling that, right? You look at what we had to do with bottling machines, with labeling machines, with blenders and mixers and big heated vats that can sit there and, automatically stir and heat butter ingredients, for example. That's not something you can do in your kitchen, right? You also can't have, cat and dog hair ending up in all your stuff. So you kind of don't want to do it on your dining room table, right? So all of a sudden now you need a facility. And then with a facility, oh crap, your landlord wants insurances. So now you got to get insurance. And then you got to start worrying about like, okay, where am I doing taxes, and how am I charging for sales tax, and how do I keep track of all this stuff, and who I charge tax to and who I don't, what states require it, what don't. So you all of a sudden then look at facilities. Then you look at just the stupid things with a facility that you don't think you're going to need to worry about, like a dumpster, right? Like, okay, you got all these big pails coming in, all these big jugs, you got all these giant boxes with all these other supplies of labels and bottles and everything else that comes in to package this stuff. Now all of a sudden you need a place to throw things away that isn't your trash can, or loading it all into the trunk of your car and driving it to the landfill, right? So now you need trash service. You need someone to pick that dumpster up. What schedule is he going to pick that dumpster up? Right? So it's like the stupidest little problem. Like if you do something once at a small scale, just imagine each little piece you touch, there being 25 gallons of this 16-ounce jug. There's 5,000 of these bottles that you're holding that are one bottle that you're filling right now. There's 25 different labels that are all on racks hanging there somewhere waiting to get labeled. And everything you do, you now have to do it as many times multiplied by the number of products that you sell. It's intense. Like there's a lot to figure out. So now if you're someone who maybe came to this and you're like an MBA, right? And you're like a business guy and you're like, what business am I going to start? Beard oil. That's what I want to do. You probably have the business side, the sales and marketing side, and maybe even the logistics side of this pretty well figured out at that point. Your big challenge is going to be the products, right? How are you going to make something that's unique, something that's marketable, and something that most importantly works and that people like, and you get return customers.
And it's also eye-catching. We're in a very diluted market, so
you got
it
to
has
stand
to be
out.
something that stands out that people aren't going to just scroll past. Oh, I've seen 1,000 of those, and
yeah. And so like typical X-Ray Freak here pointed out, I am, doing the, feed it from the fire hose, right? And And Garrett, I want to talk about this point in a second here too. So leave this one up for a minute.
Yeah, that one's getting me in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, Jill's setting the bar. But so that would be your challenge if you're a business guy. Now, let's just say you're a beard guy, right? You're someone in a beard community. You come up with a product that you like. You got one of those 4 pillars figured out already, right? You know the product. You know what you want to make. You know what you want in it. You know what you want it to smell like, look like, how you want it to work, and what you want the benefits to be. But now you have to figure out the other 3 pillars that you may have never dealt with before, like the business side. Who's going to be your accountant? How are you going to do your invoicing? Where are you going to put the online platform? How are you going to charge credit cards? How are you going to give people a way to process their money and ship their orders and track it? How are you going to handle integrations? Meaning, if you're going to list your products for sale on other third-party sites, how do those integrations to your store work? Then on that note, how are you going to handle inventory? How are you going to track what's there? How are you going to know when something's running low so you can make more of it? How are you going to not risk running out of stock?
I was going to say, to that inventory point, that can be exploded down. I mean, how many times have we ran out of just like a cap or a lid, but we had enough of the bottles and enough of the ingredients and enough of the products being made up, and we're like, how are we out of caps?
Right. Yeah. It's the stupidest little things that'll get you. And it's hard to identify sometimes the short straw in the handful of things that you need to produce and ship a product, right? You have enough oils, you have enough essential oil bases that you created, you have enough bottles, and then holy crap, we started labeling and we only had 20 labels and we have 2 gallons of the oil made. We were supposed to make 256 bottles and we have enough to make 20. Not because of ingredients, not because of bottles, not because of facilities, but because of a stupid label.
Yeah.
Right. And so how do you keep track of all these things to where when you're planning your production, you know what the short straw is so you can backfill it and then make sure that you're good for your production days, right? And then Garrett, of course, to your point, you're talking about one part of that is in our control and the other part's not, right? Jill can receive an order in the morning, pack it and ship it that day and send it. But once that happens, despite popular belief, by the way, we get lots of questions about, hey, how come my package went to this state, this state, this state, and that state, and it's still not here and it says that it's out for delivery? I would love to be able to answer those questions and know more than you do by looking at the USPS tracking site, but we don't. It's not like when you're a business and you ship things with USPS that they give you some kind of special access into some back-end system that shows you why the hell mail carriers are not doing their job.
Oh.
They don't. And so we can do our job 100% right. We can make the best products. We can have the fastest fulfillment times. We can have it leave that day at 3:00 and get out to you. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, we get an email saying, I heard great things about Dr. Nick's, but I'm really disappointed that my package is in Albuquerque, New Mexico, instead of here in California. And I'd really like you to explain why.
I think Mike Q's package, like he must have had like a passport in that thing that had to get stamped 3 times.
Oh yeah, that thing had to have like stamps all over it. Your package literally got like a national road trip before it got to you.
It was on vacation.
It's happened to Dan.
Yeah, mine. Garrett in the chat got his IPA oil before I did and had to have another one because it just gets lost. And man, I deal with this every day. I have a Facebook group and people will post a negative post about the shipping. And then I take it down because I'm not big on that negative like dog pile. And people are like, why'd you do that? I'm like, well, there are just 30 comments about people saying how a company is slow when it's like, you have a tracking number. Like this is out of their hands, you guys. It's so simple. Like, is USPS perfect? No, but it's what it is. We're making
we
the
have
best
like a
out of it.
90+% success rate. I mean, it's good. I mean, I'd say now it's like 95-ish%. You send out 100 packages, 5 of them might be slow. 2 of those 5 might never get there. And the claims
worse
process
with the holidays.
Yeah. And claims process is non-existent, right? I mean, you can make a claim, but it's not going to go anywhere. And when they lose them, when they find them, they're supposed to ship them back to you. They don't. And even when they do, it's not like we can use them, right? It's been sitting God knows where for God knows how long. And we're not going to take that out of the package and reship it to someone. So we have to burn those.
Which goes to another point on there.
Waste.
It
goes to the point of waste. When people are building in their profit and cost models, they always fail to build and oftentimes fail, unless you're the MBA guy I was talking about who doesn't know the beard stuff, but knows the business better than anyone that I know does. Is when you're coming up with costs and your profit margins, people fail to include waste. You have to include a percentage of waste in everything you do, because there's residual stuff stuck to the side of big containers. There's oopsies, right? There's oh, I put the wrong label on those bottles. Me. Or you know, God, it, or like, yeah, you ship stuff, it doesn't get there. You've now, the customer has paid for shipping. We ship it, but now it doesn't get there. So what happens, right? We can't reuse the product. We don't get it back. We have to call it a wash. We have to eat the product, package new product, pay for the packaging, the wrapping, the shipping label, and the product. And then we have to pay for postage ourselves, because it wasn't the customer's fault that their package got lost. It wasn't ours. So we have to cover it. Right. So now you're in a situation where you hope that doesn't happen too much, because it's literally giveaways every time that it does. Right. And it's totally out of your control.
And when we're in production and I'm making something new, I'm obviously not going to use lower end ingredients to try spinning up something new. So I'm using these high end ingredients. And if something doesn't work and it's unbalanced, you throw it away.
You do.
Yeah.
So Mike Q says, so much more than just making beard oil. I knew that, and I'm not going near that mess. Props to you, Doc. You guys are killing it. You know, thanks, Mike.
We got you covered, Mike.
And yeah, this comes
we'll keep making it for
at
you.
the perfect time. My wife is listening in the background. She asked me the other day, why don't you make beard oil? And I looked at her like she was crazy. Not enough time in my life. You know, it is, man. It's a job. And it's one of those things where if you treat it like a side project and you dedicate the amount of time to it you would a side project, you know, it's not going to do what you imagine it doing, right? It's not like going to be one of those things where your side project all of a sudden becomes so busy you have to quit your job because it's paying you what your job is, and then you can move over. There's always that period of time where you have to make the jump to a full-time focus without it paying you like a full-time job or at all,
or any profit at all.
Yeah.
Those times are going to happen where you're still grinding away and not much is coming in your pocket.
Oh yeah.
You're making enough to get more ingredients and more
to scale.
Packaging and scaling stuff, and you are broke.
Yeah, because you got to think about it. If you got to buy all those ingredients, you know, it's like what big companies refer to as float. You know, it's like you have to float your costs across revolving lines of credit typically. And if that timing gets messed up, that can be a big financial burden. But you look at Dr. Nick's, I mean, from 2015 to 2019, we put all of our money back into product development. There was zero money paid out to anyone who was running it, who was just me at the time. I made $0. And then you look at 2019 until now, I'd say that if I'm being completely honest, 2022 was our first profitable year as far as being a profitable business goes. And that's thankfully, you know, continuing now into 2023, and we're on a good trajectory to actually be able to sustainably grow and add people and processes. And like you guys have seen, add products and product development and those sorts of things. But those decisions are still there. You know, it's like, do you pay yourself, or do you say you're going to take that money and reinvest it into new packaging, new labeling, new ingredients for a new product, which at scale is probably an easy $5,000 every time you decide to pull that trigger. Right. So there is a lot more to it. And I think where a big part of the challenge comes into is not to focus too long on logistics, but you think about, you know, your products and your profitability and making them and making an individual unit that's a profitable product that you can go to market and sell both retail and wholesale and have it be sustainable. People oftentimes also forget of the fact that you can't forever ship all your stuff in free USPS flat rate boxes. It's just, it's
hey, you can for the first 3 years.
Oh, you can right? For quite a while. So, you know, hey, to anyone out there that's thinking about starting a small products business,
start there.
Absolutely abuse your post office free priority mailboxes.
They will give you stacks of them.
Oh yeah,
and paying dirty looks, stacks of dirty looks,
and paying the additional money you need to pay to use the priority mail service actually will be less than what you pay in buying your own packaging, first class mail, and paying for individual weighted packages, you know, because the packaging is not cheap.
No, it's not. And this may not be our best business model, but although you guys pay $5 flat rate shipping, doesn't always mean we do for your packages.
Right.
Some of your packages, we end up paying double to triple of that, but we like being able to do that so you guys can get $5 flat rate shipping.
Which, on that note, we have a way that's coming soon that's actually going to save you some money on that $5 flat rate on small orders, and probably do actual shipping rates for anything that's, over that limit. So it's like, if you have a bigger order, you're going to pay actual rates. We're not going to mark anything up, but I mean, that is coming, right? As we scale, you need to be able to let people pay actual rates on shipping. And sometimes that's going to be less than our $5 flat rate is now. And sometimes it's going to be $1 or $2 more. And it just is what it is, right? I mean, it's shipping carriers doing what they do. They got to make money too. And unfortunately, they're very good at it. They've figured out the no way around it. You're going to be paying them money to ship your stuff. But I think to the next topic here on the product side, and this is where I'll give Jill the mic here for a few, is on the formulation side of the house, right? You got formulation, production, and then we touched on inventory and packaging, but let's just focus on like formulation and production for a minute. That includes things like ingredients, procurement, and locating and sourcing those ingredients, as well as for production, all the tools, the equipment, the facilities, the commercial space, the heating, cooling, refrigeration, plumbing, draining, drying, sanitizing, all of those things that are required in order to do this at a lab quality standard. I don't think maybe everyone has these concerns like we do, but we wanted it to where we could literally have the FDA come in here if we were regulated, which unfortunately the beard industry is not. I say unfortunately because it's kind of a blessing and a curse. But we wanted to have everything to the point where if we ever did have the opportunity to get certified by any body that's an entity that certifies this sort of stuff, that we would pass. So everything we do with that mindset. Like, we want it to be lab quality production, end to end, sanitized, clean. We want it to be repeatable. We want it to be documented. We want to understand our processes. And so that's the way we attacked it. But I mean, from your standpoint, from like, you focus on formulation and the production in addition to everything else, that's like two of your big focuses.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges for formulation or production that are different at scale than they are at small batch? Well,
ingredients and procurement right now, there's a shortage of everything. It's just, things are hard to find, and they're hard to find at a price that's profitable. So that in itself, I spend a lot of time sourcing our ingredients and making sure they're still quality and you're not losing that quality in order to save a couple dollars. There's the struggles and challenges of being creative, making new products. And
wait, you mean creativity is not a light switch that you can just shut off the business and ignore it and then just be creative whenever you want?
No, especially with all the stresses of everything else that we just rattled off, and that just buzzing in the back of your mind. And you're like, oh, you need to come up with something new. Be creative,
right?
Be thoughtful. And it's, so that in itself is one of the biggest challenges. We're coming up wanting to drop new scent releases for the summer. We have a few in the queue that we think are good, but it's like, is it good enough? Are people going to want this? Is this different? Is this exciting? And what can I do to add this that makes me different from another company out there that has similar scent profiles? And I mean, we may only be in this building to a certain time of the day, but we're working well into the night just on all this research and formulating. And, I had a thought, and, throwing all that stuff down. And then the facility stuff, cleaning, making a batch of oil, obviously needing to pour it into glass beakers to pour into our bigger containers. Now you need to clean these glass beakers. And you can't go to a sink and clean that if it's not properly plumbed and trapped and grease trapped and everything like that. So down to just cleaning your equipment and
that can
knowing
be like
how to properly dispose.
The craziest little challenge.
Essential oils will burn through plastic. If they're not properly disposed of, they will melt through your trash bags. They will melt through, all sorts of things.
Oh yeah. And that's the crazy part about the facility. You're like, oh, cool, I want to get this going. I got a buddy who says he can rent me an office in his building. And you're like, okay, well, does that office have ventilation? Does it have heating and cooling? Does it have a big sink where you can have a drain board to soak, then rinse, then sanitize and dry? Does it have a place that's not going to have, problems where you're going to be running your labels, where you're going to be getting dust and lint and stuff stuck behind the glue on glass bottles, right? It's the strangest little things. It's not only you can do it out of a storage unit like you can if you're selling, used Nikes, right? I mean, it's you're not just taking something out of a box, slapping a new shipping label on it and sending it back out.
And to add to that, all the complaints we have to get from Sir when he can't be in on production days, that in itself is exhausting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the family side.
That's the family side of it, which is a huge other part of this.
It is
the family side.
I did want to hit that last one there too. That was, there we go. It's kind of like Biohazard. So yes, we will keep making IPA. Don't worry. We would have Revolt if it went away. So.
Aren't you so glad I thought to bring that back?
Oh, here we go. Oh, this is good. You guys I'll make sure to screen record that one. Yeah. Thank God for Jill and all of her wonderful product ideas.
You're welcome.
What would I do without her? No, but we will not be taking that one away. Don't worry. It's a crowd favorite. That one's here to stay.
Everyone loves it. We love it.
And Chris says he has no problem paying for a higher price for a quality product that I know I like, especially with the procurement challenges.
If you're someone who's curious and just wants to play with things, this is a great place to, beard oil is a great place to start. It's definitely harder to scale, within your own home, but that's not to discourage anyone from playing with ingredients and making something that they like. There's nothing.
Oh, and Biohazard is speaking straight to me with this one.
Mm-hmm.
You said you're new to Dr. Nick's, and that you found us through Dan. So first of all, welcome. And thanks for coming to the live stream. Hopefully this becomes a good weekly place for you to get some, entertainment, education, or stress relief. Otherwise, like everyone else does. This is the reason why we use essential oils. I started Dr. Nick's because I personally can't use artificial fragrance oils. I can't use cologne really much. It gives me red bumps. I have a real problem with strong fragrances on my skin, but essential oils, when diluted properly, do not bug me. So
when diluted properly, is that another challenge?
Oh man. Yeah. Dilution rates. You got to, we'll touch on that one. That's part of that, production formulation process. But yes, I'm glad that you have found us. I'm glad that you like it for the reasons that it exists. Right. I think there's a lot of people who will like us just because they like us. But when someone likes us for that reason, it speaks especially close to my heart, because that's why this company was born. And thanks, Chris. Great place with great company. It wouldn't be the great place that it is without great people like you, my friend.
Chris and I were sharing photos back and forth of his trip to Florida, if I'm not mistaken, and our trip to the Art of Brick the other day. So,
nice.
It's just always nice to catch up with our friends.
Nick, do you ever trim your beard for transparency? Because your beard is always so thick. So sometimes. In some areas. Yeah. Like I was watching Dan's video the other day about trimming up a beard, and it was actually very similar, because like I'll do some shaping down in the bottom, spring cleanup, as Dan was calling it. Look at that. Nice and crispy. Look at that. Ooh.
Oh, the beard fluff. Whoa.
Oh God. Ooh. Look at that thing go. I do like mine on the thicker side though. So the only trimming I really do is purely, I get, cosmetic trimming, right? It's around the cheeks. I stopped trimming some of the areas around my connector because I was actually hurting the problem more than I was helping it. I was getting a lot of poof out here, and I thought it was because I was letting it get too long. So for like years, I was trimming it back until I finally realized that I was doing the opposite of what I should be doing, which was let it grow longer and get the ends away from right here, because that's what creates the volume, so you got to get those ends past and just shape them down. But I don't do a whole lot of trimming. I really don't, actually. It's interesting. I don't trim my mustache much, except for when I want to do something with it and I notice that the ends are a different length, and I'll kind of size them up a little. But no, I actually don't. Maybe I should more, but I don't.
Yeah, I never trim mine. I should really.
No, yeah, she's like straight all natural.
Yeah,
with
all
hers.
match. Yeah.
Just
let it be.
Yep. Let it grow. That's it. Oh, thanks, Mike. Appreciate the mustache comment there, bud.
You do have a mighty mustache.
It's getting there. It is. It's getting there. But, you know, so I guess that's really where, I mean, that's the bulk of it though. I mean, we're happy to answer questions too, but I mean, really, I guess it comes down to the devil is always in the details, just like everything else. Right. And the challenges that you experience at a small scale only amplify at a larger scale. So that's something really to keep in mind, because whatever can happen once at a small scale will happen 500 times when you do it 500 times.
And to touch down, we didn't get too big into like the family side of things. Like, we are not the only ones who suffer from a long day's worth of work. You know, there have been plenty of nights where Jack gets out of school and he has to come back to the office and do his homework here, and he's bored and wants to go in front of his computer or his TV, but he knows he just has to stick it out. So it is, when we say it's a family business, it is an all-around family business. The dog comes with us every day, so he's not alone. And,
oh yeah,
you know,
Jill and I used to go on vacations. Like, we used to go like
All the
Iceland,
time.
Hawaii, and down to Aruba, and we used to just bounce all over the place a few times a year, like 4 times a year we were taking trips. And since Dr. Nick started getting really busy back in late 2021 and early 2022, I'd say summer of last year was really when we started to push things forward really well. There is, we haven't been on a vacation since. We haven't even taken our honeymoon yet from our wedding last May, because we aren't to the point where we have someone else in here full time that we trust to pack and ship and fulfill orders the same way Jill does. You guys can only imagine, right? How you'd feel like if all of a sudden you got an order and it was wrong, it was missing something, it took 4 days to ship it, whatever else might be there. And then when you wrote in, we said, oh God, yeah, sorry, we were on vacation. That was someone else working in the shop. You can understand how to us, that would be losing a piece of who we are, right? That's kind of losing some of what makes us awesome and what makes Dr. Nick's amazing man stuff amazing. And so we're like super careful about that. And we got to make sure we have the right person that's been involved long enough, that knows the process well enough to do it the same way that Jill does it, which is a tall order.
A very tall order.
Yeah. One, because you got to do it as well as Jill does without either me or Jill pointing out how you didn't.
Which is crazy that it's funny. If you get like an oil and a butter combo, I pack those the exact same way every time. Yep. And I'm sure they can go in other ways, but it wouldn't resonate with me well. You know what I mean? You didn't put the butter on the right. So when you open, butter's put in oil on the left.
Yeah. I mean,
it's hard to teach those things.
And it's one of those weird things too, where you got to wonder, like, what am I teaching that's actually valuable and contributing to delivering a quality experience? and what am I just nitpicking that actually makes no difference at all, right? And
I'll nitpick you though.
And it's tough to figure that out. Like, it's tough to kind of let that bird fly out of the nest, because it's like, okay, fine, yeah, it worked, but it wasn't the way that I do it.
Yeah, and handwritten notes. I mean, I personalize some of those. Like, if I see a name that comes in frequently, I don't want you to get the same note all the time. Like, I could only imagine what kind of notes could be left for some of our customers if we had some of our friends in here packing these orders,
Oh man. Yeah. Beards and Vinyl just brought up a really good one. Who would we have if we had one musician that could be a spokesperson for Dr. Nick's? Who would it be?
John Goblicon.
John Goblicon from Necro Goblicon.
He's not quite a musician, but.
Oh man, yeah. Well, no.
He likes to think so.
Yeah. It's kind of like the drummer joke. Like, what do you call someone who hangs out with a group of musicians?
The drummer.
Well, no, I was gonna be nice and say the goblin.
Oh.
God, I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. I'd almost wonder, like, I don't know. It starts to think like it's got to be one of the dudes from like Amon Amarth. Like, you want some like Vikings repping your beard oil, but it would be in Swedish.
No, I see John Goblicon. He may not have a beard, but he's got hype, man.
Oh, he does have hype. Yeah, because you could say like, put the oil in the beard right
now.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see that one working
for sure. And if I can add,
we've had some ties with Gorham. Mike Q threw that up.
The Gore stuff was super fun, and we actually when we were first thinking about doing the shower products long ago, I almost reached out to the guys in Guar to figure out like if they'd want to do a line of them with us again and see if they'd want to do a promo video for it, where it was like, let Guar in your bathroom. And it'd be like some like kind of vanilla kind of video shot with kind of a skinny, nerdy kid kind of sitting there in his bathroom with like some scruff going on. And then all of a sudden he opens his shower and it's like Blothar standing in there. Or like all of a sudden you like hands him a bottle and all of a sudden there's like stage lights going on and he's got like 3 groupies next to him and he's got like this long epic beard and he's like, thanks, Dr. Nix. That could be fun.
Love it. And to add on, and we got a couple questions, guys. So if you guys have questions, we got about 10 minutes here, so you can hit those, and I'll get those feed into Nick and Jill. But there's so many other things on this topic, and I know Nick didn't want to overwhelm you guys or bore you guys or even get too much into the weeds. But there's things like lawsuits, right? You make beard oil at home, not a big deal. You use it. On this side of things, lawsuits are real. Also staying up with government interventions, right? Such as the IFRA updates. The 49th Amendment changed everything. Oh, what about this new thing called MOCRA that's coming by the end of the year and regulations and all this stuff? That's all required. Like, you don't get a choice to passively just make products and send them out. We're just having fun. We're just small batch. No, like, you actually have to follow this stuff or the consequences are very, very harsh. And so I think Nick and Jill did a great job of covering those things. There's just so many things you don't realize until you get into it. And then there's so many things that you don't realize until you get into it. And then you hit the next level. And it just continues to throw challenge after challenge. And so, man, I'm super glad Nick was able to highlight all of those things and kind of give a little bit of feedback, because we could go on and on and on, but I think it perfectly showed what we were trying to accomplish today.
And I think I'll wrap it up with this. And before we jump into questions, and I was going to say this in the beginning, but I think it is actually a better closing remark than it is an opener because it has more context now. When you're running a small business, it doesn't matter what kind it is. You have to make a decision every minute of every hour of every day of whether or not you're going to be working on your business or working in your business. And there's a difference between working on your business and working in your business, right? Working on your business would be things that are going to support you, your ability to continue operations, things on the business side of stuff, right? Like getting your accounting and your bank accounts and your payment clearings and your taxes and everything else from a books perspective in order, and handling all the business licensing, the registrations, the insurance, and all of those things that you need to focus on, utility bills, auto payments, credit cards. Those are the things that support your business able to exist. And then once you've created that framework, that box that is your business, then you jump inside of it. And that's where product development and website design and blog content and Instagram videos and all this other stuff start peeling out of things you can do. But those are two different sides of your brain every day. And the funny part is you don't always get to decide, one, which one you're capable of working on at the moment. Because I'm not good at everything I do every minute of every day. There's some days where I'm good at administrative stuff, and there's other days I wake up and I'm good at creative stuff. Those don't always line up with the schedule where you need to do those things, right? There's no like knob you turn where you're like, all right, analytical left brain time today. And that, there's no switch. We're emotional creatures and we ebb and flow. So deciding to work on your business versus in your business, I think, is probably one of the things that that needs to be first and foremost in someone's mind when they think about the feasibility of this stuff.
For sure. And shameless plug here, guys, if you have not followed the Dr. Nick's Instagram page, I did put a link in the chat. Also, you can just search Dr. Nick's Amazing Man Stuff on Instagram, and you'll find so many things from their family to travels to new products to people rocking their stuff. There's a lot of really good content on there if you guys want to check out their Instagram.
Awesome.
Beautiful. All right, here's some questions for the last 5 minutes here that I'll be feeding you, and go ahead and take them away.
We have talked about deodorant.
And it's still really hard to lock down something that's going to be all natural but not make you smell like a tuna fish sandwich. So it's that's a journey that's going to take some time.
Yep, we're there.
So we have not thrown that idea out. I use all natural deodorant. That is difficult to try to replicate. Some of the ingredients that I just don't have access to, but
yep, it's still like right on the top of the list. If we have the list of 5 things,
deodorant,
that's in there.
Moisturizer, and what was the other topic?
DNC scent.
Yep.
Yes.
So I have one that I might actually be sending you this week to tell me what you think.
Oh,
I'm not going to tell you what's in it.
Oh, that DNC scent is going to be a fun one.
Here's G Squared, and he says, you guys should reach out to Porter from
Atreyu.
Atreyu.
Betray
Okay.
you.
He said, have you seen his beard?
Oh yeah.
He's got a great beard.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does have a good beard. I haven't seen it recently though. Like it's been years since I saw that guy.
And I haven't heard anything new from them just because I haven't been looking. I should go back. I had a great playlist that should have come up on last week.
And and we always thought about that too, is that like, the metal scene is so important to us. It's amazing that beyond Guar, we haven't got someone that's like the metal touring face of Dr. Nick's and just literally sponsor the tour, right? Where we fill the tour bus up with shower products. We give everyone else the beard products to use on tour. And, the guy on the left, yeah, look at that dude.
That's a great beard.
Sweet beard. Yeah. You see, someone like that was into it and wanted to do something cool. I'm all over it. Feel free, George. You know this guy, reach out, shoot him our info.
He's wondering if we have, because he thinks he's really
we don't know
cool.
that. G Squared might be buddies with this dude. They might be texting about this right now. We don't know.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
In which case we need to know.
Mark Beards and Vinyl is highly involved in the music world too. So you never know who's watching and who they know. Mark has like literally years and years of experience with bands and all this situations. Same with my buddy Jason, who's in the chat. He's toured with bands and worked with them for years and years. So,
if you guys know anyone, reach out to us. Customer service at drnicks.com. Shoot us a note and let's talk about it.
Yep.
Yeah, we tried to get all the remains a few years ago because of Jason
Yep.
Costa, which is an old customer of mine. The drummer of All That Remains was an old customer of mine.
Yeah, if anyone out there is friends with Zach Wild, go get him.
I was gonna say he was the most bearded of the group, so I think that's why that fell off.
Perfect. And Ellie said that she dyed her hair last night, used your guys' conditioner, and her hair is all nice, soft, and manageable, even after being double processed.
Oh, nice. I love that. And I gotta think that's something to do with the panthenol content in there. That's really a big chunk of that from the softening perspective and helping to keep the. You know what Jill got? You guys will like this to Ellie's comment. She got this fancy girls conditioner, and it came with like this plastic shower brush. It's like a plastic oval shape with plastic tines on it. And they're kind of wide spaced, and it's meant for when you put conditioner in your hair, you run the brush through your hair and it helps to evenly distribute the conditioner across all the strands.
Number 8.
I've been using it in my beard, and oh my God, do I like what happens with that conditioner when I do that thing. I can see one of those being an accessory for Dr. Nick someday as a conditioner brush.
You can find black ones.
I always recommend your number 8 in the shower with conditioner. Same concept. I do it every single time. I have videos on it. Yeah, it's a game changer for detangling and spreading the product evenly.
Oh, it's awesome. And dude, G Squared, I love that. Please, spread the word, reach out. We would love to explore those options.
For sure. And then final question, and then lead this right into your kind of call off and end of the show here. Bringing this all together on a challenging stream, what do you think was the biggest hurdle in creating this company or the resurgence of this company?
I think we're both going to have different answers.
I think we are too, and that's good. So I think, honestly, from my standpoint, the hardest part about starting it was figuring out packaging and labeling, and then combined with that as sort of item most challenging 1B would be how to properly convey what that packaging looks like and feels like on a website, right? So product photos, being able to display it properly, the layout, the organization of the product catalog, and the artwork and the labeling, how to source the labels, how to source it onto the bottles, the sizing, the wrapping, the process of doing it, turning it into a polished retail product was probably the hardest part, I think, for me to get my head around, just because it's such an extrapolated issue that gets more complicated as you grow. What was yours?
I would have to say the biggest hurdle creating Dr. Nick's has got to be patience and motivating.
I thought you were going to say the biggest problem was me.
No, not the biggest. I mean, come on. No, patience and motivation, because when you do put something out that you've put your heart and your soul into, and your time and your dedication into, and it hasn't gained traction yet, but you know it's good, it's really hard to get unmotivated. It's really good to get hard. I mean, really easy to get hard on yourself and be like, you know what? It's just, I'm exhausted. So staying positive, staying motivated, and staying patient. That's definitely, you know, for like we've mentioned, this company has been a thing since 2015.
I might actually want to change my answer. I think maybe Jill's right. I think that actually was the hardest part about it was
we got this building during the
holding the
pandemic,
faith.
and a lot of people, you know, some people didn't know where their next check was coming from. They didn't want to be spending things that were considered, you know,
luxury
items and stuff. So yeah.
Yep, I could see that.
It's been a ride, but we're so glad that we kept our patience and motivation and continue to do so as well.
Yep. And thanks to you guys. And thanks, Ellie. That's awesome. I'm glad we could do it. And that's into that light. Thanks for listening, right? Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening to the story. I'm hoping.
Yeah. And sticking it out with us, guys. You guys have been on this journey with us too. So.
And you're the reason, and you're the wind behind the sails. I mean, you really are. Like the problem Jill just spoke about, the things that you guys send in email, your reviews, your feedback,
your dad jokes. Don't forget
dad
Chris
jokes,
Harden,
your attendance on our live stream. All of these things fix that problem for Jill. So just so you guys know, not me, not the products, not the company, not Sir, not anyone here in the building. The biggest problem Jill just spoke about is a problem that you guys have solved. You guys are the ones that make Jill feel better and keep her motivated and feeling positive and keeping going. So you're the fuel behind this engine that we just laid out in front of you today. So congrats to you guys for that. And thank you so much. And just again, thanks for watching, and
we'll see you on Command's Corner.
Yeah, we'll see you on Command's Corner next week. And we'll see you the day after back here on Tuesday.
All right, guys. See you on the Dan C. Bearded channel.